But
Right now. Welcome to the Meeple Syrup Aftershow, Designers Discussing Design. We're on the Aftershow of episode 75, prototyping. And thanks to both Robin and JT for sticking around with us as we just chat games and making games and what's happening in the industry. And I'm sure some prototyping still might be mentioned. I know Sen well enough to know that any excuse he can talk about his toys for prototyping. So
his shelf paper.
Yeah,
the shelf paper.
all his fancy
That's cool.
fancy prototyping tricks.
I get a lot of them from Suze. Suze and I actually wanted to run a little craft show.
A craft show. There
It'd be funny.
is.
Yeah. First we have a question. Sir Bob says something. The new ability to get alternated cut patterns at the game crafters. I guess this is for you, JT.
Mm-hmm.
Are you able to expand the templates? If so, I would be willing to create public shapes for you. Cubic shapes? Public shapes?
Public shapes. What are those shapes? Oh.
I don't know. And what are your private shapes? Like,
Yeah.
That's weird.
I'm glad we saved this for the after.
Yeah, this might get a little dark.
It's a little blue. We are able to add new shapes. And in fact, we have some coming out very shortly. Some new shapes. We don't allow submissions from the public yet. So our goal is actually to make it so that anybody can upload their own shape.
Wow.
And so you'll be able to, design your own weird, like you need interlocking gears for your steampunk game, then design gear chits. Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So that's the
awesome.
goal, is to eventually get to that. There are lots of technical challenges involved in making sure that doesn't fail as people try to use it, because there's lots of ways they can screw that up, and lots of ways for us to screw it up too. So we want to. That'll be a while before that comes out, but that's the goal, is to get to that
that'll
point.
Be like LOD, like laser on demand.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep.
Wow.
I think Tyler is right now drawing a weird shape that he wants you to cut for him.
My light bulb.
Oh, the light bulb.
Oh yeah, if you can cut that light bulb, he will be like super happy.
He will buy that.
A Canadian game where it's all cards and you're moving beer bottle caps.
There are concept. You should just grab your concept. They have light bulbs.
They do. They have light bulbs in Concept. Do you have Concept, Tyler?
Oh yeah, I love that game.
Well, then get the light bulbs out of there, buddy.
Yeah, but they're real tiny. And like,
So are your ideas, my friends. So are your ideas.
Hey, at least you said it nicely.
That's because we're Canadian. We're very polite, even when we're mean to each other. What's the one prototyping trick you don't think most other experienced prototypers are using? Oh, that's a good one, Matt. I'll have to think about that, because I think you guys know most of my tricks anyways. I'll think about it. I'll come back to you. But keep the conversation going while I look around my office, seeing what I got.
I'm curious, while people are thinking about that, and I buy people more time, I'm also curious about the whole harvesting and pillaging of games. Do you find that you return the parts?
Yeah, always.
You always do?
Too much for completionist, not
I am too. I feel bad. My co-designer, all the time, I end up like pitching a game with his parts and then give it away to the publisher.
I said it's rare nowadays that I don't have like, an excellent product you have to get. So it's on Amazon.com or Amazon.co.uk. It's the tub of cubes, plastic cubes.
Oh, the plastic,
yeah,
the educational ones.
Yeah, the education ones.
Counting cubes.
Just if you want to be a designer, get them, because they
or
are
a teacher.
We
use it a lot.
I used to use those from Scholar's Choice, because I worked at Scholar's Choice, and that was a real hot seller. It was those plastic cubes. So absolutely, I have a variety of. I'm going to show people a little behind the scenes thing.
Whoa.
I sort my bits so that I can have, like, if I want crystals of a certain color, different things like that, or different tubs of cubes.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be there now, going through every single drawer, seeing what you've got.
This is my baggie of different cubes, things like that. So I try to get myself organized with my bits.
My trick for getting those kinds of bits is actually not to pillage my own games, but to go to, Goodwill or wherever, and just raid the games there. But
Seriously?
we actually have this.
I thought you were actually going to say go to conventions and stuff.
I was going to say, go to someone's house.
No.
Yeah.
Because I totally would not
That's
put
a
that
great
past
idea,
you.
though.
I would not put that past you.
But no, we actually have this amazing thing here in Madison, and I don't know if it exists elsewhere, but there is a thing called Dig and Save. And what they do is all the stuff that goes to these thrift stores that does not sell
It's a liquidator.
goes to
nice.
Dig and Save.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
there
yeah.
you buy stuff by the pound, not by the thing, right?
Just,
And so
Is that where Brett got all those like cars and stuff? Like it sounds like exactly where he would go to get that.
Probably, but
Yeah,
they
yeah,
have
yeah.
these giant bins just full of like whatever. There's salt and pepper shakers and whatever. But in the bottom of there's all these board game pieces from board games that were incomplete and therefore couldn't sell. So I'll come out with a bucket load for an hour's worth of work. I'll have a 5-gallon pail of game pieces out of that place.
That's amazing.
And it'll cost me $3. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Oh, it's funny. Dials. Let's talk about dials.
Oh yeah, Sen loves the dials.
I love dials. Dials are awesome. So
you gotta show your machine.
yeah, I'm getting my machine. I'm moving over to my machine part.
As you buy time, I am curious about this. I don't know. Actually, this game was a dream of mine last night. So I don't know if this is a well thought out idea. But Sen, your crimping machine, could that be used as like hinges on like a body part? Like if you made.
Probably, yeah.
Okay, I need to talk to you after the show about making making goalies out of. I want to make little goalies that you can move around. They're like, you could like move their glove side, or they could like stack the pad.
Sure. Yeah. That's neat.
Okay.
Matt actually says 1K bucket of cubes, so it's 1,000, plus full sheet label paper. I have like 7,000 sheets over here of full sheet label paper. If you get it from Uline, you can get boxes and boxes of this stuff for cheap. Relatively cheap. It's still pretty expensive, but it's more efficient than a lot of other ways of like I honestly do not recommend spray glue. Spray glue just comes off eventually. Like if your prototype goes through a lot of use, and mine go through tons of travel and tons of use, and when we pack, if you've ever read my blog, we don't pack in boxes, we pack in bags.
Baggies.
And so it's really. They go through a lot of wear and tear, so if you're going to spray glue, that adhesive will wear off over time. So Matt's right, in my opinion, full sheet stickers that are actually blacked out on the back so you can't see what's through it are really effective for lots of stuff. And then he uses 12 by 12 chipboard from Amazon. He says those are the basic requirements for designers, and I would say, yeah, those are really good. And then you have obviously pawns and dice and stuff like that.
Sleeves.
Sleeves for me are big. One of the things that I use a lot of instead of the chipboard is the matte board. Matte Loomis board. Matte board from photography stores, right?
Sure.
From framing stores. It's super easy to cut. It's actually, I think it's easier to cut and just as rigid as things like chipboard, and it comes in lots of colors, which is good if you wanted to have backs on the chips to separate them by. And it's free usually. I usually just go to the framing store and say, "Hey, you throwing that out?" And they go, "Yeah." I say, "Oh, can I have it, or can I pay you $5 for a stack of it?" And they say, "Yeah, sure." So that's been a good find for me. That's a secret tip. So don't go around London to the framing shops asking, because that's my gig. But other than that, let me show you this. So here in my magic box of tools, glue gun. Glue gun is a pretty important thing if you have heavier bits. I have arc punches in here if you like cutting out squares and circles, and hexes. I've got arc punches that you basically use a hammer, and you go hammer time on them. Stop. Hammer time. And you cut up stuff with precision, and you just kind of punch it out, or a gasket punch will do the same thing. But this baby here,
there it is.
This is my crocodile.
I was waiting for it. I couldn't believe you went this long without bringing that out.
Talk about this thing a lot. This is a rivet puncher, brad puncher, and it will actually make those rotating wheels that people like so much. X-Wing style and whatnot. So we make lots and lots of games with wheels for that reason, only because I have the tool. So you can see, instantly you get these wheels that you can rotate, and it's held together by the brad in the middle. This Brad guy gets a lot of work for me. So it's really simple, really easy to make. And I think, JT, you have some on your site now too, right? Wheels? Tell us about your wheels.
We call them dials, but we have a single dial and a dual dial. They work basically the same way yours do, although they're a little bit fancier.
Yeah, for sure.
And you just go out to the gamecrafter.com/ publish, and you'll be able to see all the stuff.
Now, they're on your dials. Can you print on the dials before they get assembled?
Absolutely.
You send them assembled. That's awesome.
Yeah, they're actually so we're using metal rivets or not rivets, grommets that are actually holding the pieces together. So I assume that's what yours were. I couldn't quite tell.
Yeah, it's a grommet.
Yeah.
It's not really a brass splits. But...
Yeah.
Can they have the UV coating?
Absolutely, they can.
Nice.
And they can even
super
be
cool.
And they can even be linen.
Linen
You can
coated white dry erase wheels. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's a lot of people use them for scoring or health trackers or that sort of stuff. I've actually seen a really cool aviation game where people were using one for altimeter and one for speed for their so it was a dual dial and they had those two values for their planes. So that was pretty cool.
That makes sense. That's cool. Yeah. So that's one of my lesser known tools, I guess. What else I've been using? So Suzanne printed out posted these pictures of felt boxes that she made cam clips.
Oh yeah, the tacos.
The tacos? That's what you were calling them?
That's what I call it.
I don't know.
Looks like a
so
taco.
I thought, if you can make a dish out of those, you can make a dice rolling tray out of those, and you can make a dice rolling tray out of those. You can then fold it up to make a dice bag out of it. So that's what I've done with cam clips. And then I thought about these cam clips and said, I could use these to clip things together in weird shapes. And I've been thinking more and more about that lately of how I can use these clips, which are really just snaps, plastic.
You need to just call it the dice taco.
The dice taco.
That's what it looks like.
It looks like a burrito.
That's what I mean.
I think of the purse.
You guys like you that actually make this stuff by themselves impress the hell out of me because I don't know how you have the patience. That's half the reason I created the Game Crafter is that I don't have the patience. So I wanted this engine behind me where I could push a button and it pops out my game.
Yeah.
I actually once somebody gets me to get that idea out of my head, because that's the hard thing, is getting it out of my head onto the table, which is why I work with Jay, is because he makes me do that. Once I get it on the table that I really like, I love paper crafting, and the art of it, so like origami and stuff like that. So I like doing that kind of stuff, and so that's.
I'm like JT. I like this idea that you can just click a button.
And I'm happy with that idea too.
That sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I think it would be super helpful as well for the idea of pitching games and then saying to a publisher, "Oh, you're interested? Print, ship. Don't worry about it. You don't even have to carry it. it'll be at your office when you're home." Things like that.
I don't know about you guys, but my playtesting crew, it's not just here locally. I have them in various parts of the country, and so the ability to just pop out extra prototypes to send to the various playtesters, that makes it really simple. But I have friends that do exactly like Sen, and they make their prototypes by hand and still make extra copies to send out to their remote playtesters. And I'm like,
I never said I made extra copies.
That's just so much work. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah.
Robin?
I was going to say the idea of being able to. One of the things that we have a problem with here is pitching to publishers, because all the publishers are over in the States, all the ones that are kind of openly looking at games and easier to pitch to because they're smaller startup companies, whereas the European companies tend to be larger and more established. So once you've got a foot in, then maybe you can get in there. But generally, the majority of the companies are over in the States. So it'd be a godsend to be able to just have a company like GameCraft where you can send out to a publisher when you've got the pitch ready to make the pitch, and say, right.
Well, if the publishers are in the States, then there you go. We're here too, so.
And then on the vice versa, the ones that you build the relationships with, the European ones, can work through, the Game Crafter Europe edition.
There we go.
We can send our games over to Lee, both ways. You need the double coverage.
Yeah, but I mean that's the thing, Lee, right? If you could just set it up on the Game Crafter and then get them to purchase it or purchase it for them and ship it out through the American site, you'd save on the shipping to America. You'd have a really nice looking prototype at the end. JT would get a little bit of money on the side. We'd all be happy. You'd take me out for drinks. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we all win this way.
Think about the ones that you've had to send to Europe. If you could just press print on this end and skip the shipping costs.
Oh man, let's do that.
That would be huge.
Do you know how much it cost me to send a copy to Britta? I sent her a copy of something. I can't even remember. It might have just been like a card game, and it was like 35 US or something stupid.
I sent something to Eggertspiel and it was like $50.
Yeah. Oh, there's definitely there was a $75 one somewhere, like a box. It was a box of stuff though. It was a few games, but it was a lot. Just for the shipping, right? And
that's just the shipping. I mean, I could have printed the whole game and shipped it for that.
Yeah.
Shipping is nuts. And it's getting worse and worse. So.
Yes. Yeah. Whoever keeps solving those problems, everyone's happy.
Yeah.
There's people taking the planes all the time. You just stand there with a sign, looking for someone going to Cuba. Oh,
this is how people get arrested for drug
mules.
Game mules. Oh wait, Daryl, weren't you a game mule?
Daryl is a game mule.
I have expert. You know what's really funny? I just had a conversation 2 weeks ago. I got seeked out as an expert game mule.
Really?
Efka from No Pun Intended dropped my name to someone because he knew that I did muling, and so I'm in conversations with a couple people about Essen muling and giving like advice, and oh man, it's a weird subworld.
Hey, you've done it once.
I think we've also got Tiffany to blame for that.
Yeah.
Videos of you packing boxes down and down and down.
Yeah.
I should have brought all of our shipments for Canada to New York Toy Fair so you could have taken them home for me.
I could have drove them home.
Missed opportunity.
Missed opportunity. That's like, there's so many ways to beat the man, right?
He always gets the games.
Yes. So anything else? Oh, it's funny. TC Petty is saying he's so afraid to ever hit the button to make a proto with Game Crafter because he makes 10 changes by the time it arrives.
There is that.
That is a good point.
That's the beauty of dry erase, though, that you make the components without any values, just boxes where you can write them in. So
yeah, as long as the other text stays the same, that's actually not a bad idea.
Well, and you can just update the iteration. You get your copy, you're going to write all over it anyways, let's be honest. And then you update the files that are on Game Crafter, and all the changes are right there.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, right? Is it the... depends on the size of the game, or... Like, how easy is it, JT? Because I've never really used this. I've looked at the system, but I've never really printed anything out through it. How easy is it for me to say, I just want the deck of cards redone, not everything else?
That's very simple. You update your game, and then you make a copy and delete everything you don't want to print, and you just print a copy of the copy. So.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So I mean,
yes, he does it all the time for Fancy. We just keep updating the decks.
Okay, neat. And so yeah, because the rest of the components are pretty much set, and then if you ever need a new deck, you just update it. That's cool because that could be very useful. One of the things that has been recently sort of a thing in the prototype world is digital. So Tabletopia, and Tabletop Simulator and whatnot. What we found, and I don't know if Daryl, you've been using this a lot too, is that the physicality is sometimes necessary to make a board game work. So we have we're not saying collectible card game because it's not really one. But we have a card game where you need to like count and stack the cards in certain ways and flip them and turn them, and it does not work well in the virtual world.
Yeah.
And so there's totally still a place for physical prototypes.
Oh, totally. For sure. Actually, I have a question along those lines. Have you talked with either with Tabletopia or with Tabletop Simulator about integrating, like if you design a game in their system, being able to press print and then translating that into...
Oh, wow.
Because to me, that would be the dream scenario: is I push around a bunch of bits in the digital world, I then get a hard copy. Like that to me would be like a perfect union.
We're talking to both of them. We've been using both of them for over a year. And the problem is that their stuff on both systems is too low res to print.
Sure.
So it would actually have to go the other direction. It would come from the game crafter into their system.
Sure.
And they both think that's a decent idea, although they've been, at least Tabletopia has been very, very slow to move on that idea.
Sure.
Tabletop Simulator actually has a little bit of an API already in it, and so we've been actually regularly discussing with them how to get this going. So Tabletop Simulator will probably have integration first, just because they're way ahead on the whole API thing.
Right. Very cool. Very exciting to hear that is in discussion.
That's an awesome idea.
That would make me a very happy man, and would make people like Ace, who is an excellent developer when it comes to the digital space. He could create a whole job space out of that. So.
Yeah, it'd be really neat to see it go that way, so that you could have. It's really literally the best of both worlds, right? So I can play test in Tabletopia, make some changes or Tabletop Simulator, make some changes in the Game Crafter engine, send it there. And when I'm really satisfied, I would print several hard copies and send those out for people to play. TC Petty's asking, has anyone used Tabletopia or Simulator for any early prototypes like white cards with text?
Yep.
Yeah. Just blank white cards with the text and some numbers on it.
Just pull some cubes around and start pushing stuff around.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just
rip off of Cards Against Humanity? Sorry, what?
That's white text on black cards. No, we're talking black text on white cards, which is the other half of Cards Against Humanity. Just ripped off half the game. But yeah, I mean, it's something that you could, especially if you have co-designs with people who are far away, like I do. It's been an invaluable tool to get us all at the table, myself, the developer, the publisher, and Jay, to sit at the table and play and get some iterations done right then and there, and then we can make the changes within a day, and then we're playing a game the next day or whatever. So I think the digital stuff is very much a thing that we would like to see even more accessible. But JT, if you can link that stuff up with your end, then I'm willing to pay that shipping. If it makes it that easy to do that, I think that'd be really cool.
That's the goal, but like I said, Tabletopia doesn't have an API to make that happen yet. So if they ever do, then we can get that in there. But Tabletop Simulator is getting pretty close where we can actually pull that off.
Cool. I'd love to see it.
It's interesting that it comes down to resolution. You just require just a higher resolution, or it just wouldn't translate.
Yeah, well, they thought when I first started talking with Tabletopia, they actually thought they were going to be higher resolution than the Game Crafter, and they're very proud of it because everything is they designed everything around 4K displays.
Sure.
That's true.
But there were two problems. The first was that 4K displays are about 15% lower resolution than what you need for print.
Right.
Yep. The eye sees a lot more.
Exactly, and on top of that, everything you upload into Tabletopia does not have bleed.
Right, it doesn't at all.
Right.
Oh, so your cuts are going to get all messed up.
Exactly.
Potentially, right? Potentially.
Yep.
You have that.
I got a question for you.
Either side or so.
Is the Game Crafter going to get into 3D printing of models for people for their games?
Please say yes. Please say yes. Please say yes.
People keep asking me that. So the Game Crafter owns 3D printers. We are regularly playing with stuff, but they're really finicky and terrible. So the answer is eventually yes, but not anytime soon. Because
the quality's not the same. I don't think.
See, honestly, even the quality, I think people would be okay with the quality if we could do it in a reasonable fashion. The problem is that there's the failure rate and the finickiness of it makes it ridiculously expensive. So because we're having to redo anybody could send in any kind of model, and the model actually has to be designed for 3D printing. Or
and then redesigned by you guys,
Robin has a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to ask then. So one of the things we talked about in the main show earlier was finding playtesters, and so you've established this forum which you and Jay use.
Yeah.
But one of the things I've been thinking about was then creating a section within that forum which you can then use for playtesters, and then have a group of playtesters around the world where you send maybe you send a playtesting kit, which may be like a thing of cubes and a thing of dice and various markers, and then you send them the files to print out themselves, and they have access to the forums, and then they can playtest the games based on the kit.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty cool. We do have playtest forums on our forums that other people can access. It's just rare that they do. They'd rather just talk in person. But when we sent like 80 or 90 or 100 copies of Belfort, the expansion around the world. When we did that, we got all the feedback back, but it wasn't electronic. It was electronic in the form of email, but we didn't have the forum set up for them at that time. I think the way that you're talking is actually really neat. So you kind of almost have like a piece pack. If you guys know piece pack, you have like a piece pack that you send out to your playtest groups, and then so they have enough tools to work with, and then anything outside of that you'd send them the print and play files for, and that could be cool.
Is the forum, in that case, would the forum be used just to provide feedback and ask questions, or is it more of a play by email kind of thing?
No, like the forum is for questions and feedback.
Okay. Definitely. I was wondering if you're actually just kind of waiting for the next person to take their move and just describe what you're doing, kind of via forum.
Oh my
wow, that'd be really interesting and slow.
Yeah.
So why not just Tabletopia at that point?
Yeah.
What, are we playing games through bulletin board systems now? What?
Man, I used to do that all the time.
Yep, me too.
Hey, JT, what do you think of X-Carve? The X-Carve. That is a toy I am seriously considering. I was toying around with the idea of a couple things, but that one...
You're talking about the thing from Inventables?
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually have their other product, the Carvey.
Yes, the one that has a big thing that goes over?
Yeah, I like that way better.
That is the one I really wanted, but I didn't know enough about it yet, so...
Okay. So I own the Carvey. It's freaking incredible. It's awesome.
So you're saying Sen should get one, is what you're saying?
I'm saying if you like the craft projects that you say you like,
just say yes. You'll get it. He's gonna get it. He already probably ordered it 2 seconds.
No, I didn't order it, but I have been looking at it for a long time, so.
Yeah, no, the Carvey is a magnificent machine. You would not be disappointed. Make sure you get all the different types of bits for it, though.
Okay.
So.
Cool. Oh, he'll get all the bits.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a completionist when it comes to that kind of stuff. Have to get all the bits. Yeah, so I mean, 3D printing, for the longest time I was interested in that, but at the end of the day, none of the stuff that got printed actually ended up wowing me enough to say, yeah, I'm going to invest in that. So, but the stuff that came out through the X-Carve and the Carvey and whatnot looked a lot better. In my opinion, anyways.
And it's a lot less finicky. You'll spend the rest of your life just tweaking settings on a 3D printer, whereas the Carvey just works. So. Yeah,
that's neat. It is the Carvey. Unfortunately, is totally not out of my realm of. It's out of my realm of thinking. I'm not a good. I've never been good at carving or whittling or any of those types of art things. Like when I took fine art, I would never be able to see something and see a shape inside of it. But I think because of the 3D nature, I'm good at 3D modeling type of things, but not when there's a shape in front of me. So I think because it's less hands-on and I just put it in a machine, I think I can do it. I think I'll be able to do it.
Well, the other thing that's nice about the Carvey rather than the X-Carve is that it has this 2.5D mode where you basically design something in 2D and then give it depth.
Oh, okay, so it's like extruding it.
Yes.
Okay.
So that makes it. You can do it in 3D also, but the 2.5D makes it a little bit easier for most people to wrap their head around.
That's hilarious, 2.5D.
Well, that's what they call it.
No, I get it. That's too funny. Yeah. All right, I think it's about time to wrap because we've been chatting our heads off. it's been good talking to you all. So, Daryl, why don't you go ahead and do the honors, my friend?
Yeah, well, again, thank you, JT, and thank you, Robin, for hanging out with us. Also, obviously, I got to give a shout out to my co-hosts, both Tyler and Sen. Thank you for hosting the show with me. We love also all the fans out there, your interaction. We love hearing from you if you have ideas.
Even Matt Loomis. We even like you, Matt Loomis.
We even love Matt Loomis, who's going to be on the show next week. So think of nice, hard questions, game theory questions. Let's stump him with math or something.
He's hard to stump.
Yeah, he is a
incredibly
difficult person to stump. But if we can't stump him, we'll at least try to piss him off because
that's always fun too. That's really
fun too. So we'll at least promise you that. And until next week, I just want to encourage people to keep making great games, and we look forward to playing them soon.